To make things clear from the very, very beginning, a slanderer is someone who accuses someone else of something without first verifying if that information is correct. But it doesn't just stop there. A slanderer isn't just someone who creates this accusation, but it's also someone who propagates this accusation. So if I hear something about someone and I decide, hey, I'm going to spread this without even verifying if it's true, then I am too a slanderer. And this has incredibly serious consequences in Islam. And to be honest with you, there's one story that happened in the time of the Prophet ﷺ that will truly make you understand just how serious the consequences are. And this is in the story of the slander of Aisha radiallahu anha. Now I'm going to be very, very brief and give you the necessary information about this slander because it's a very long story. One time Aisha radiallahu anha was on an expedition with the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ and the Muslims. And the Muslims amongst them were the hypocrites. And so Aisha looked down when the army was preparing to leave and she realized that she couldn't find her necklace. So she decided to trace her steps in order to go and look for this necklace and to come back and join the army and leave. And so she set out to trace her steps back and looked and looked and looked for her necklace, but she couldn't find it. And so she decided to come back. And by the time she came back, she realized the army had already set off. So not knowing what she was going to do, she just sat there for a very long time and fell asleep. When she was asleep, she was woken up by a companion saying, La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah, very loudly. He was incredibly shocked at what he just saw. And subhanAllah, that companion, he actually turned around, let her get onto the camel without him even looking, and didn't say a single word to her as he took her to the army to catch up with the army that had left. Upon arriving to the army, one of the hypocrites, the leader of the hypocrites, saw this. And so he created an accusation. And he said something that doesn't need to be mentioned explicitly, but he created a slander about Aisha radiallahu anha and the companion that she came back with. And subhanAllah, Aisha fell very, very ill when she arrived into Medina. And so she was just inside the house for multiple weeks dealing with her illness. But without her knowledge, the entire time, the whole community of Medina began spreading this slander. All the hypocrites were spreading this slander. But specifically, there were 3 companions of the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ that were also spreading this slander. Pay attention. The hypocrites, they're hypocrites. But 3 Muslims, 3 companions were spreading this slander. And during that time, the Prophet ﷺ was deeply hurt by the situation. And so he would approach people privately to try and figure out if this slander was true or not. He was trying to verify. After a whole month of slander, the Prophet ﷺ and Aisha radiallahu anha's dad and mother, they all approached Aisha radiallahu anha and finally confronted her. She had no knowledge about the matter. When Aisha radiallahu anha was confronted by the Prophet ﷺ, she realized that a part of him somewhat not believed it, but he didn't outright just say this never happened. And so when she saw doubt from her and she turned to her father and he was just there like, I don't know what to say, she got so angry that she turned around and she said, Allah will prove my innocence. And so at that, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed verses directly addressing the slander and proving her innocence there and then. SubhanAllah. And these are the verses, the very famous verses in Surah An-Nur. And one of the verses which I want all of us to pay attention to is the one where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says, إِنَّ الَّذِينَ يُحِبُّونَ أَن تَشِيعَ الْفَاحِشَةُ في الذين آمنوا لهم عذاب أليم في الدنيا والآخرة والله يعلم وأنتم لا تعلمون. Indeed those, and pay attention to the wording, indeed unquestionably those people who love to see indecency spread amongst the believers will suffer a painful punishment in this life and the hereafter. Allah knows and you do not know. And to cut a long story short, didn't I say that there were 3 companions of the Prophet ﷺ, companions, Muslims of the highest caliber? Didn't I say there was 3 that spread the slander? What was their punishment? Even after repenting, they all received 80 lashes each for doing what they did, just because they took an accusation that they didn't even create and they propagated it. They spread it. Hey, did you know this happened? Did you hear this? And so on and so forth. This should show you just how serious it is to slander any one of our brothers and sisters without first verifying information. In the age of social media, where anyone can pick up a phone, create an account on X, on Instagram, on TikTok, on YouTube, film a video, post a tweet, do anything like that and speak their mind, we are seeing Muslims slander each other like never before, especially without verifying information. People are just presenting their thoughts and ideas about other people as if it's nothing. But wallahi, this is huge. These three companions were lashed 80 times each just for propagating something where, from their perspective, it's true. That's what they've been hearing, and they just go to other people and they spread it. That's all they're doing. This has been magnified like never before in our day and age. And subhanAllah, one of the punishments of the grave, as told by the Prophet ﷺ, is an-namam, the one who is a slanderer, who propagates and creates accusations about people without verifying the information. طيب. Let's say you're in a situation where someone is slandering someone else and it's to you. How should you respond? In that time of the slander of Aisha, this happened with Abu Ayyub al-Ansari. His wife, she came home one time and she basically went to her husband and she literally just said, "Have you heard of what's going on with Aisha radiallahu anha?" That's all she said. Abu Ayyub got so angry at his wife, he reprimanded her there and then, and he said, "How can you speak about such a thing?" From that, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed a verse directly quoting Abu Ayyub al-Ansari in the Quran, in a verse which we read over and over again until the Day of Judgment, because of how honorable that word was. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says, وَلَوْلَا إِذْ سَمِعْتُمُوهُ قُلْتُمْ مَا يَكُونُ لَنَا أَن نَتَكَلَّمَ بِهَذَا سُبْحَانَكَ هَذَا بُهْتَانٌ عَظِيمٌ. If only you had said upon hearing it, i.e. the slander, how can we speak about such a thing? This is what Abu Ayyub said to his wife. How can we speak about such a thing? Subhanak ya Allah. Glory be to you, ya Allah. This is a heinous slander, disgusting slander. Whenever we hear anything about our brothers and sisters, we should feel disgusted that these things are being claimed. And we should absolutely shut the conversation up no matter what. That's how we should respond when we hear our brothers and sisters being slandered. You have to realize, guys, that the Ummah of the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, the Muslims, are like one body. The Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, he said, مثل المؤمنين في توادهم وتراحمهم وتعاطفهم مثل الجسد إذا اشتكى منه عضو تداعى له سائر الجسد بالسهر والحمى. The example of the Muslims in their affection and their mercy and their compassion for each other is like of a body. When any limb in the body aches, the whole body reacts with sleeplessness and fever. Really unpack this analogy with me. If you guys ever cut your finger, is it not the case that your entire body feels it? Just because you have a small cut on your finger, it's almost like it paralyzes you. You can't do normal daily tasks without feeling it, right? That's how we should be as an ummah. But nowadays, what are we seeing? We're seeing the exact opposite. We love to see pain. We love to feel this agony in the ummah. And subhanAllah, if you just think about this example a bit deeper, when the body hurts itself, the rest of the body, the immune system, the red blood cells, they rush to fix the problem that happens in the body. But what we do nowadays with X and Instagram and YouTube is that as soon as there's any slander or any pains in the ummah, we gather towards it and we make it even worse. Almost like the body's attacking itself. How can we ever expect unity and a beautiful kind of result of this unity if we're doing that with each other? We really need to start reflecting on our own actions and contributing towards a betterment of the ummah so that we can all rise once again. Subhanakallahumma bihamdik ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.